Hi, welcome to How to Use CAD. My name is Tom Norris and I'm here today to teach you about TurboCAD. We're looking at a quick start guide to TurboCAD. The idea behind it is to get you up and running with as little effort as possible. The trouble with any decent bit of software is that you don't need most of it to start with. So the aim of this tutorial is to show you what I consider to be 10 of the most important tools in TurboCAD for basic drawing and design work. I say basic, but you can in fact achieve a lot once you get to grips with those tools. When I say most important, what I really mean is that these are the tools you're going to be using over and over. So the quicker you get introduced to them, the quicker you will be able to get to work. Always keep in mind that learning TurboCAD can be enjoyable, especially when you have a bit of one-on-one help. So instead of tinkering and going nowhere, just sit back and enjoy the intro and you will be designing in no time. Right, to start with, let's start on snaps. Now the reason I've chosen snaps first is it's probably, in my view, one of the most important tools within TurboCAD and any other equivalent piece of design software. Basically, what I would say is when I first started, and I spent quite a few hours fooling around with TurboCAD and attempting to learn it, and I'd never used a computerized design program before, but so I had no idea about snaps or what the implications were. I did discover it eventually, and when I did, I'm going, oh my goodness, what a fantastic breakthrough. And it made life absolutely magnificent after that. I absolutely enjoyed using TurboCAD since I discovered snaps, so it's really important that you learn what it is. Now, snap modes, I've got the tool palette open here, and these are all basically little snap tools, and I'm not going to teach you what any of them do except one, and the rest you can explore and learn for yourself. But right now, snap modes is on because it's generally is on. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off all snaps. Right, so now we have no snaps whatsoever, and I'm going to show you what's important here. So we take a line tool, and now let's try and draw a square. Or even a rectangle. Now you don't have to be Einstein to see that that's quite rubbish, isn't it? It doesn't join up. So let's see if we can join it up. This doesn't want to know, does it? Close? No, close doesn't work. Okay, you're starting to see the problem, I think. I could be here all night or all day just trying to join a few lines together. Right, so let's leave that aside and let's start again, but this time we're going to turn on snaps, and I've got it adjusted to the way I want it. So now I'm going to draw a square again, or a rectangle. It's usually only the last one that I need to make a little adjustment on. And there you go. Now let's examine the joins, corners. See, the corners are perfect. They're all knitted together. And that's what snap does. So let's do it in slow motion. Now if we blow up, when you click in and around the end of a line, it's automatically going to grab. So again, here we go. This is with snaps. Now let me show you again without snaps. You getting the idea? So when you get your TurboCAD open and you're working on it, you get your snaps. So I'm going to help you out here now, because I'm going to put back on snaps. Now you see the way this is configured? If you're quite smart, what I would say to you is you pause the video for a second and you use your little, what do you call that tool for snapping, or not snapping, but for taking a picture of the screen, and you take a little picture of this area and you print it off and you keep it, like if you do what I did, I had it on the bottom of my screen for about 6 months till I started to really understand the various elements. But that's the perfect layout for architectural design work. I'm not, as I say, I'm not going to go into the individual ones, but if you start in that layout, it'll enable you to just automatically, it'll latch on to the other lines in the middle of the lines. You can do as well. So it's heaven by comparison to this nightmare. Right, so you got the idea? Okay, well let's move forward. And before we do that, let me just get rid of this rubbish. And where are we? Okay, we've covered snaps. So remember, this one here puts it off or on. But this configuration is probably perfect for most general applications for design work. Right, we've discussed snaps. Let's move on to the next one. Arc. So what's an arc? Well, you think, what can we do with an arc? Are arcs useful? Well, let me tell you, they are. They certainly are for me. So let's just pull one up, and here we go. Circle, perhaps not. Let's just do a quarter. Let's do another circle. Let's do a half. Let's do 3/4. So you get the idea. Circles turn into halves, into 3/4, into a quarter. You think, well, what are we going to use those for? Nobody needs that. Well, actually, you're kind of wrong. So I'll give you an idea what we use it for all the time, just as a little touch. So for example, every time we put a door in a drawing, we demonstrate which way the door goes. So let me just draw a door very quickly. Now, average door, 762 by 28. So we'll come down to the inspector at the bottom here, and we go 762 tab 28. So that's my door. Now, if I want to show the direction that door is traveling in, how should I do it? Well, the arc is perfect. So if I take an arc, yep, there we go. So now we spin it around, and it should be the same size as the door. So let's go back down to the inspector here, 762, tab 762, and there's your arc. Now, so we're going to join that on, and to do that, we're going to use another little tool here, and just change the axis. What we like to do here is a little bit of grey. Let's do a dotted line. So now, there you go. You've got your wall, and that's how we do an arc. Okay, so I'm just giving you a little example here. Perhaps you'll have 100 different reasons for building an arc or for using an arc. I'm sure you have, but I'm giving you a very simple reason, a very simple sample. So arcs over here, any angle you want. At the moment I've got ortho on, so it's given me horizontal and vertical lines. But so let me just try one more time. There you go, swing it around, semicircle. Yeah, you getting the idea? Okay, anyone know how to join this one to that one? Could we join those two? Would you know how? Sure you do. I shouldn't be telling you this now because it's not on the list, but if we change that, there you go, perfect. Right, next tool up is parallel. And over here on the tools palette, within the line tools, it's parallel lines. So you think, well, what are we going to use parallel lines for? Well, actually, if you're doing design work, there's loads of different ways you can use it. So let's do an example. So let's assume I'm designing a staircase. We do one string staircase, and the staircase is 850 wide. So we take the parallel tool and we come across. Now for here, now we used down here at the bottom, we use the inspector, and we tab down, and as the length offset, we go 850. So there you go, that's a staircase, 850, but it doesn't have any steps, I hear you say. Right, so we put one step in, then we get the parallel. Now average staircase, each tread or each step is approximately 220 to 240 millimeter deep. So what we're going to do here is make, say, a few steps 240 mil. So I've grabbed the line using the parallel. I've grabbed the first line. Now I'm going to tab again and offset 240. Again, tab 240. Tab 240. Tab 240. So you see how simple it is. Now, incidentally, if I wanted to go down, I'll do something slightly different. I'll go tab, I'll go grab, I'll go tab minus 240. Tab minus 240. So you have to use the minus if you're going down, and if we're doing it sideways, let me explain. So let's assume we're doing sideways. Tab minus 240. Tab minus 240. Tab minus 240. So if I was going this way and going the other way, I'd go tab 240. So basically, tab 240. So basically what it means is that if you go in, you'll soon work out, you go in one direction, it's tab 240 or tab whatever the number is. And if you reverse the direction, you put a minus in. So, so if I'm going down, I'm going to go tab minus 240. Now parallel lines, really useful, loads of bits and pieces, doing walls or anything. So for example, I'm doing a few walls, so let's assume, right, I'm going to build a house, chimney breast, yeah. Right, so now, probably wouldn't do it exactly like that. I'd connect over here, make sure it's accurate, connect. So we're going to just show you how useful it is. So now we're going to go parallel. Outside wall for an average house, old house, no insulation in between, 280. So you go tab 280. Once you've got that, do it again. Tab 280. Once you've got the line, and once you have the line, grab it. Again, the same here. You go tab minus 280. This is how we use lines, drawing walls with accuracy. So to make sure the walls are the same thickness as the parallel lines are really useful. So there you go, introduction to parallel lines. That's about as good as it gets. Use your imagination now for, you know it exists, so therefore when the need is there, that's the icon and it's within the line system. Right, so let's get rid of parallel. Now the next one is explode. So what do we use explode for? Well, there'll be lots of times using CAD block where you import bits of graphics or images from other programs. So I'll give you a little example here. I'm going to import something. So for here now I'm going to go to CAD resources and I'm going to have a look at what we've got. So let's get an interesting one. What should we use? Furniture, outdoor, lounge. There you go. We're opening up another CAD block. Wow, this is lovely. So we'll take a chair. So, and then we just make a copy. We don't actually. I can bring it back into the file I was using. There we go. That's your chair. Now, if you wanted to edit this, you can't, because it's all together. So what we have to do is we have to explode it if we want to modify it. And the explode tool is over here on the right, and this is it. That's the icon for exploding. So remember now, any little CAD blocks that you bring into your page where you're designing, you bring in chairs, you bring in furniture, you could bring in a bathroom suite, a toilet, a sink, and you want to modify it. You won't be able to initially because it's all done as one unit. So what you have to do is go over here and double click, and after you've double clicked, you got sections of it. You can break it down. So that's what it's all about, exploding, how to use parts of it. So for example, if I wanted to, let's assume I wanted half a chair. Well, let's see how I would do it. Well, there you go. So now I've already made a mess of the chair, but I should be able to deal with it. Half a chair. So if we go to modify, object trim, oops, can't do that one. I'll be able to do some of it. This one, it won't cut anything that doesn't go through. So might be able to do the bottom one. I'll be able to do certain parts of it, inside or out. So you use the modify tool to deal with exploding. What more can I tell you? Back here to get rid of it. And there you go, a perfectly good chair slaughtered. So remember what I said? Let's go again, we'll do it. We'll go to furniture, bring in something. Let's bring in something other than furniture. Gym equipment, how's that? That might be nice. We're building our own gym. Yes, why not? And I've got poor Betty here, or poor John. They're all doing, all working hard. So I go back to my blank, pop it in. Oops, it's a big one. Yeah, it's definitely a big one. So the scale is miles away from the page we were on. You see my little icons down here. Right, so what we're going to do here, we want to edit. Let's assume we just want Big John here, who is doing all his, oh my goodness, he's working hard. So what we do is we explode it. And now we can take John. There you go. And that's how you do. That's how you do. So you can cut these little bits out. Do what you need to do. But for now, you've just taken him away. You've separated him from his friends. Right, so you're getting the message. Now, that's what explode is. Very useful tool. You can find it here on the, over here on the right hand side. So now, explode. Right, who knows anything about modify? Well, modify is, again, an absolute beautiful product, because I was using TurboCAD for quite some time before I learned how to do the modify. And when I discovered modify, I went, wow. I'll give you a quick example how it might work. So let's draw a wall, and to do the wall we're going to use the parallel tool again. I'm going to tab 280. It's an outside wall. Now let's assume I want to put a door in there. The door is 762, which is a standard interior door, at 100 for the frame, and it's 862. So I just go like so, tab 862, tab 862, and I've got me a box with 862. Now let's assume I want to create a door opening in a wall. Anywhere here, this is where the door is going to be. Right, I've got to modify, object trim, and what modify does is it basically cuts holes in your lines or squares or rectangles. There you go. Modify again. So position it over the two lines wherever you want to cut, and done. So it works on loads of things. It works on anything really. So let me just do a rectangle, not a rectangle, not a rectangle. Now what we want to do here is we want to modify. I'm just giving you an example. So you select one, go to modify, object trim, and anything in that square gets cut. So if we take it off and we go modify again, we pick a different square this time. Now anything in this square gets cut. So let's see. Right, getting the idea. Now if we do, let's follow up on the final one, object trim, modify, there you go. That's what modify does. They're all separate, but if you're trying to create something, odd shapes or cut something out, works on anything. So let's try the circles. Try square. So there you go. Go to modify, object trim. Fine. Now do it again. Go to modify, object trim. This time you, oops, I wasn't intending to do that. So let's just step back and redo that. Modify, pick the circle, and no, I'm getting tired. I've been at this for too long today. So I'm going to do it again. Go to modify, object trim, pick the square. What's going to happen here? Is what's going to happen, you think? There you go. That's what I was trying to do. Yeah, so you know, linking up images, icons, shapes, squares, that's what modify is used for. Again, brilliant tool. Brilliant tool to have and understand and know how to use it. You'll find more uses for it once you've used it a few times, but certainly just try it on a few lines and you'll see what I mean. Yeah. The other thing is when you have modified it, you then use some of the other tools that I've already shown you. Take off ortho. There you go. You want to fill that with something? What do? Do you remember? I'm showing you some of the tools again now. There you go. Here. Here. Now we go fill. Close it. Up here. Polyline. Which is the real one. This is the real one. This is the one you can fill. That was just the component parts. Get rid of the component parts. Fill. Now you know you can fill up here as well, don't you? You don't need to double click and go in. That's what it's all about. So this is the properties box up here. Change color, pen, thickness of the lines, and of course change the fill. You want stars and stripes or whatever you want. Okay, so where are we? Only one to go. Orthogonal. Well, don't know about you, but I haven't got a clue what orthogonal means. Actually, maybe I do. Orthogonal measurements down here. It's under the dimensions palette, or the section, the dimension section. So let's have a little look again. We're going to draw a few bits and pieces, and then we'll see how it works. Yes. Right, so maybe perhaps showing is better than explaining. There you go, done in millimeters. 1206. See how quick it is to get measurements. Yeah, you're getting the drift. So all of these are measurement tools. So the orthogonal is absolutely fantastic for doing measurements. Let me give you a better example, or another example here. For that I'm going to push the shift and get me a straight line, and I'm going to use the line tool for a minute. So now, let me get rid of the horizontals. So you're using all the tools I've been telling you about in this little lesson. Like, see, I'm using the snap modes to snap the lines together. Now I'm going to show you. So I'm going to measure here, 450. Get the drift. Do them all in a line if you have the space. If you want to do them in a line, you have to reduce the font size so that it'll squeeze in, and then they'll all line up. But that's how we do our measurements, and that's just one tool. All of these measure slightly different, measuring angles, measuring circles, diameters, and so on. Get used to these tools, but they're fantastic tools. Right. So what have we covered? We covered the top 10 tools in TurboCAD, and hopefully you will now go on to experiment and play with these tools and get very familiar with them. But they're going to come up and again, so enjoy using them. And remember, where you learned how to use these tools, it was how to use CAD. So come on back, see you on the next lesson, yeah? Thanks very much for joining us.